The original Legend of Zelda is a classic. It was the first open world game of its kind, and it blew the minds of gamers from the day and age. But being a pioneering video game, there were no examples to follow, and a lot of mistakes were made along the way. So that's what we're discussing today, with a list of the top 25 problems with Zelda 1, and as a bonus, the ways we would fix the game if there was a remake in the modern age. Oh, but where are my manners? We're not sailing solo today. Allow me to introduce our co-host, Hyrule Gamer.
Hey folks, I'm Hyrule Gamer and I make Zelda videos about, well, The Legend of Zelda. Theories, mysteries, speculation, the lot. Big thanks to the amazing Bread Pirate for having me today. I'm looking forward to it.
And what the heck, don't forget to watch the collab we did on his channel about 5 great Legend of Zelda theories on the original Legend of Zelda. I made a few of those theories myself and wouldn't want them to go to waste. Before we begin, let me preface that if you disagree with this list, let us know in the comments section. It's alright if you're wrong, just make sure that you let everybody know.
That was a joke, please don't massacre me.
Let's begin! There are a lack of visual cues. The world should give more clues about where hidden tunnels, bombable walls, and burnable bushes are. Currently, there are no hints to the players as to what they can interact with, and this leads to the policy of bomb every wall and burn every bush. All that they would need to do is put a crack in a wall or make a tree a different color, and this would fix everything.
The item swapping system is slow. Each time you want to go from a candle to a boomerang, or anything else for that matter, you have to go into your menu, awkwardly click around, and then exit out. This can be fixed with a quick swap button. The Legend of Zelda remake on the Satellaview had one, so it's easy to imagine this in a remake.
The overworld has a lot of caves, but they're each only one screen large. In a remake, Nintendo could expand these caves by turning them into mini dungeons where you find rupees, heart containers, free potions, or items. Heck, the power croissant is found under a statue's butt. Why not give it a special mini dungeon?
Dialogue is cryptic. In the 80s, this was due to the small resolution, but in our modern age of technology, we can fit way more letters. To fix this, Nintendo can add additional text after iconic quotes. For example, instead of the old man just saying, "The dongos dislike smoke," he can add, "Maybe those bombs will work." That way, we can keep the charm of the original game and make it more accessible.
Difficulty. This game is brutal. It's like balancing on a tightrope and being pelted with cats. It's great for hardcore and retro gamers, but some people want a casual experience, myself included. So let's add options that adjust how hard the game is. That way, newcomers and veterans alike can appreciate the game.
Some items feel useless. Granted, most Zelda games have this problem. I'm looking at you, Spinner. But that doesn't mean we should pass it over. This can be fixed by making certain items involved in puzzles, and making more enemies vulnerable to items in the late game. Seriously, why aren't Wizrobes vulnerable to the wand? Missed opportunity for magic combat.
Coastlines are boring. A remake could include new water enemies, items that allow you to swim, or islands which require a raft to access. It would be a nice touch to the overworld.
The landscape across the entire game was all too similar. More variety in this would make the game a whole lot more appealing to look at. Just more detail in each area would really fix this issue. Perhaps adding more detail to the bushes, or the ground, or the rocks, just anything really. Just adding more detail would help to differentiate each area, as they all look kinda the same due to the lack of detail. But we can put this down to the game being made in the 80s.
Speaking of landscapes, the desert is an absolute wasteland, and more than usual. A fun and simple way of making it unique would be having dungeon monsters spawn in the desert instead of only peahats. That would spice up the overworld enemy variety and also would give us something different to do there. We also wouldn't mind if a dungeon was hidden here.
The overworld is small by modern standards, so crazy idea. What if we added more screens? In other words, amplifying the size of the world. So instead of being an 8x16 grid, it is a 16x32 sized grid. Nintendo could even expand the map by adding Zelda 2 areas.
The Lost Woods are repetitive. It's just a repeating screen without any flares. In an ideal world, Nintendo would make the woods larger and more mazy. Maybe the woods would be a way of warping around the world. Who knows?
The overworld map isn't very helpful, and we're being generous by calling it a map. It's just a grey box with a dot that shows you approximately where you are in the overworld. Adding a real map would help a ton for navigation.
Graphics. Need I say anything more? 8-bit Hyrule is endearing, but not graphically pleasant. A remake in the style of A Link Between Worlds or Link's Awakening for the Switch would work well as long as the color scheme is kept similar to the original game.
Dungeon bosses are reused a lot. Case in point, Aquamentus and Gleeok are each reused as dungeon bosses twice. It's fine if Nintendo want to reuse a big baddie as a mini boss or standard enemy, but in a remake we'd love to see more types of bosses.
The food item is useless. It's meant as a way of distracting enemies like in Breath of the Wild, but it only works on 4 types of monsters. On top of that, you're forced to give up the food item in Dungeon 7 to get by a hungry Gyora, which removes the item from your inventory until you buy it again at a shop, which is super expensive. Food should not be removed from your inventory, and it should work on more monster types.
There are only 2 rupee types, the yellow flashing rupee which counts as 1 currency, and the blue rupee which counts for 5 currency. Sure, there are Moblin rupee statues hidden around Hyrule which give anywhere from 30 to 100 rupees, but those are the exception. Adding more types of rupees like a 10 or 20 rupee would spice up the reward system and make grinding quicker.
The player's wallet is tiny. Due to limitations, the original game capped your wallet at 255 rupees, so having a larger wallet as a reward for exploration would be a nice little prize.
Dungeons all look the same. Whether you are in Dungeon 1, Dungeon 2, or Dungeon 8, they all share the same design, with a colour change. A remake could fix this with dungeon themes and more interior design, and in the same vein, let's talk about
the lack of puzzle variety. Puzzles are the same throughout the game. Push a block, open door. Kill all enemies, open door. Bomb a wall, open door. Dungeons should have unique puzzles that utilize items to some extent.
The Manji dungeon needs an overhaul. To anyone that doesn't know already, the Manji is an East Asian symbol for divinity and good luck, which was Nintendo's intention. But the Manji looks identical to another symbol in Western culture, one with a less than wonderful history. So although it is great that Nintendo wants to reflect East Asian culture in their games, it's probably best to leave this example out. Otherwise, there are going to be a lot of confused and offended parents in America and Europe.
Bottles? Don't exist. In Zelda 1, you can find old men in caves that will offer the player the choice of a heart container, which permanently boosts your health, or a potion which revives all of your health twice, but will go away afterwards. You can only choose one, and whatever you don't choose will disappear forever. Most players go for the heart container since it gives a permanent health boost, but Nintendo could make this choice more interesting by adding a bottle system similar to Ocarina of Time or A Link to the Past. That way, if you choose the bottle, it still gives you a permanent effect, which is the bottle itself that can be stored later, so you could have multiple potions at once. But wait a minute, in case you're worried about not getting that heart container.
What if there was a secret shop where you could buy the items you didn't choose from the old man? That way, if you choose to get a potion, you could still buy the heart container later, and vice versa. It would be expensive, but way less punishing to the player.
Shops are sketchy. Well, maybe not sketchy, but they are confusing since the game doesn't tell you what you're buying or what it does. A small description while investigating shop items could easily fix this.
You can't move diagonally. It's a small request, but the ability to go in more directions would be tremendous.
The AI is random. It wanders around the screen without any clear destination and can be infuriating when trying to get close to, especially those pesky Darknuts who deal crazy damage with each hit. Nintendo should make enemies more predictable and smarter overall. You know, speaking of monsters, what's up with those moblins that don't attack Link? Aren't they supposed to be minions of Ganon or something?
Oh, that's a good question. How about we add that to our other video about 5 great Zelda theories and mysteries?
Hey, good idea! I'll put a link to that video at the top of the description for people who are interested. And hey, if you want to see other great Zelda videos, then click that magical slab of red food and it'll help you find new videos on our channel. Until I see you next time!
Have fun storming the castle.
Wait, what are you doing?
I just thought it sounded right for me to come in there, you know?
No. That's my line. You'll come in with a bye at the end. You say bye.
Oh, whoops. Should we start over?
No, I think it's too late now. It'd be awkward.
What if we just slowly walk away? Do you think anyone will notice?
Considering my audience retention time, probably not.
Okay.
All right then, I'll see you at the other video later.